Hello Internet, and welcome to my live reaction for Eden Zero, chapter 211. When we last left our heroes, Shiki learned a little bit more about Ziggy's past, specifically that what happened to Ziggy as he went back in time is that an encounter with a chronophage and some fuck up with the Etherion, which makes me think Rebecca is even more tied to chronophages than we know, cost him his memory and took him to Universe 1 instead of Universe 0, where he landed on an uninhabited Grand Bell. He built that up to be a theme park, and that's how he found out about Mother. And somehow, despite the fact that he has no memories, someone mentioning Mother is what spurred him on his quest for his memories, meaning somewhere in his mind there is a connection with... He already has his connection with himself and Mother. The most interesting thing we learned there, though, is that there is a true enemy who has taken over Ziggy after his initial death and has turned him into the sort of genocidal asshole we know today. And B, that is the person who told Ziggy everything about his past. The only reason he knows anything is because of this mysterious enemy. We don't know who it is. Hermit has an idea, but we don't know who it is yet. Before we can really explore Hermit's thoughts, though, we transition over to Elsie, who has found her dead crewmates. Goen, Hyoga, and Jessie all appear dead, and she is full of rage. And that's where we leave off. So let's dive right on in chapter 211, Tragedy. And our picture here is Shiki and Rebecca playing video games with Happy and Pino. A much more lighthearted affair than all of the drama and heartbreak going on Lendard right now. But yeah, in the story, we pick up right where we left off, with Elsie standing over the crew's corpses. Focusing on Goen, who may be full-on decapitated. We don't really get a full body shot of him. Hyoga, and Jessie. And we just hear her heartbeat, louder and louder as she's, panicking. And we cut to 10 minutes earlier. A similar flashback motif to the Homura Brigandine fight, where it looked like Homura lost till we saw the flashback. So maybe we'll get a similar concept here, potentially? I don't know. 10 minutes earlier, though, Elsie is still chained, and we saw those shackles disintegrated in the last chapter. So, anyway, Elsie is still, trying to get out. Blasted. If I don't get out of these... And someone interrupts her in what looks like an army uniform. Now, what a nice view, princess. And yeah, it's Jessie who... that is the outfit Jessie's wearing in the present. Or his corpse is wearing. But yeah, he's being a creep because Jessie fucking sucks. I mean, Elsie Crimson. And Elsie just glares at him. Jessie, Justice told me to keep an eye on you. I mean, Justice was just here, Jessie. And Jessie kicks her in the head. But he never told me not to kill you. Jessie's getting way too big for his britches here. I mean, sure, him talking like he has any decency at all is too big for his britches, if we're being honest, after everything that happened on Nero 66. But, the idea that Justice wants Jessie to just kill Elsie is ridiculous. Even if Jessie did succeed in killing Elsie here, he'd just get either kicked out or imprisoned by Justice once he comes back. He is not thinking straight. He's going a little mad with power here. Which is interesting, though, because this is sort of the first time we've seen that character trait to this extent in Jessie. As I recall, we saw a little bit of, his roundabout convincing of his own rightness, in the aftermath of Creed's death. But, but my point is, we haven't seen anything to this extent, and it's interesting we only get this character trait after we see his dead body. So I'm not quite sure where Mashima's going with this. But Elsie just glares up at Jessie with his foot on her face. And then he kicks her in the stomach. But don't worry, I wouldn't do that. Heh. I mean, Jessie, you don't exactly have a great track record of keeping people alive, given everything else you've done. But he goes on, I want to see you suffer more. Reduced to a weeping, whimpering mess. God, I hate Jessie. When I'm done, you'll be taken to a government facility for questioning. They'll pump you for information about your pals, where you keep your money, your connections to Eden Zero, which is interesting. I mean, it's part of Jessie just not really knowing what's going on, because Kyor has already kind of confessed that Elsie is only this big criminal because of, like, Kyor's influence. So as soon as Holy gets back and, like, Kyor is full of shit, Elsie might lose the Galactica title, just for, like, not being terrible. I don't know. Well, let's see about that, though. But you'll never talk. I know that. And that means I can watch you writhe in agony through the entire process. If they even do that. But again, Jessie does not know. And Elsie shows concern. It's not safe here. You saw all the dragons, didn't you? And Jessie just mocks, oh please, don't pretend you're worried about me. But Elsie tells him, James, and corrects herself because he doesn't know the name. I mean Justice. He saved me. I want to return the favor. Unlock these, that's genuinely a true statement. Like, Elsie's being completely honest here, and Jessie just can't see it. Justice wasn't saving you. And we see Justice, this shot of Justice, my initial instinct this might be him looking in on the conversation. I think it actually is, or it might be, given what we saw of Jessie's corpse, what if Justice suspects Jessie in Creed's death and is doing all this to set him up? If Jessie, like, admits to it here. Because last we saw Justice, he was, like, hiding from Acnoella. And that might still be what he's doing there. Anyway, Justice wasn't saving you. He was only getting ready so we could witness your suffering and misery. We're really looking forward to it. I just can't wait. And Elsie, who was only ever kind to this bastard, asks, what did I do to you? I treated you like family. And Jessie just pushes her away. Don't make me laugh. Family with a pirate? Ha. And Elsie just glares. Let's talk about my parents. They lived here. On Lendard. Oh, okay. Which would explain Jessie sharing James's pure hatred. Because of whatever the details of what Elsie did on Lendard, which we still don't really know. Just generally that they were up to something, and then she revealed all that and tore down the whole monarchy, and I don't think we ever got more details than that. But, much like Justice, that's going to give Jessie a big ol' grudge. If it weren't for that civil war, they'd still be... and Elsie sort of takes in the pain Jessie feels. And Jessie goes on, and what started that civil war? A stupid little princess had to go and betray her family. I mean, because they were gonna do something terrible, like, as I recall, well, we still don't know if that's even true. Because, again, the whole true enemy thing, and the enemy being somewhere on Lendard, I suppose it's possible that Elsie is not as benevolent as we assume she is. Though, again, that remains to be seen. I theorized a little bit about that last week. But Elsie just tells him, I see. And Jessie has, like, evil grin. Oh, come on, don't look so sad. I'm about to show you something fun. And then we cut to Goen and Hyoga, who are wandering through the streets looking for Elsie, as Goen asks, are you sure this is the place? I'm positive. Her Highness's signal is coming from here. But man, that's a hell of a lot of dragons. And they see the warehouse where Elsie is being stored. She's in that building. Your Highness! And they come in, and Jessie's gone. Oh, I think this is how they die. I think Jessie's about to kill them. Because Elsie's still bound. Goen! Hyoga! And Goen glares, what happened to you? But Hyoga just sighs, I'm glad you're safe. But Elsie yells, no, stay out! It's a trap! And Goen looks confused for a moment. And then, yeah, gets decapitated. Or, like, walks right into, like, some laser wire or something. As Hyoga dodges it. Hyoga stops. No, it wasn't like a wire. It was a straight-up laser. And we see his head, like, tumble off. Like, literally tumble is the effect there. As Elsie calls, Goen! And Jessie appears, gun pointed at Hyoga's head. See? Wasn't that fun? And Elsie calls, stop it! And Hyoga turns around, and so Jessie shoots him point blank. killing Hyoga right then and there as he only mutters out, "I'm sorry, Your Highness." But Hyoga kills Hyoga with his dying act, his dying use of ether gear, ices through Jesse's chest, causing the injury we see in the present, and freezes and shatters Elsie's chains. As Jesse just calls out, "No!" The gun falls, and we're left basically where we were at the start of the chapter. Goen, Hyoga, Jesse all dead. As Elsie was just sort of forced to watch, only freed at the last minute. Which, fills our tragedy quotient. And Elsie just gazes at them. Goen, Hyoga, Jesse, my family. She even still considers Jesse family here at the end. And I find, family is sort of an important word to Elsie, in the same way that, friends is to Shiki. And so it makes sense she would focus on the family aspect there. But also, in the context of Jesse, Jesse blames Elsie for the death of his family. And then Jesse did cause the death of Elsie's family. There's a cruel, cruel parallel there. However justified Elsie's actions may or may not have been. And she flashes back to Shiki, not to Shiki, to Ziggy, who is, I guess, technically Shiki as well. But Ziggy, when he first encountered her, "Everyone on my ship is family." And Valkyrie, also in the past, "Let's fight around, Elsie." And I think this is Return to Granbell arc, which, "You've grown, Lady Elsie." And then her meeting Goen. "I used to be a firefighter, but stuff happened, and I'm Hyoga. If anyone on the crew gets hurt, I can handle it." And Elsie, from her one eye, cries as she looks at, oh, those are specifically all. It's for a sec, when I saw Ziggy, Valkyrie, and Witch, I thought it would be Herman and Sister, but it's all of the dead people she cares about. They're all going away. Father, mother, and we see her mother, who looks a hell of a lot like Irene, just continuing that comparison, and she just breaks down. "Why is there so much death everywhere I go? Why? Is it my fault? Am I cursed with death?" And then we leave her there, just crying, in that bit of defeat, in that, self-hatred, self-flagellation. And I don't know, I hope we, when we found out that the war was on Elsie's home planet, I sort of hoped there would be a lot more Elsie. And she's been here, but she hasn't done much the past 30 chapters before this chapter. And so I'm hoping she takes a more active role in the narrative, even if it is the sort of stealth-hating version of her. I don't know. I think Elsie as the character really needs to be explored in this arc, given this is her homeworld. But we see the dragons, we see the mother tubes, and we're back in the mother tube room with Rebecca, who gets a call. It's Homura. And Homura tells her the cylinders were safely delivered, but it may prove difficult to rejoin you. And Rebecca asks, "Did something happen?" "I am pursued by a swarm of dragons. I do not wish to lead them to you." And we see that she's in battle with a bunch of dragons. And she slices through one of its wings, shocking Acnoella. Who? Or no, maybe it's another presence, because something else arrives and blasts right through the neck of the dragon Acnoella is standing on. And it's Justice. Okay. Who has started to attack Acnoella directly. "You're with the army." And Justice tells her, "If I defeat you, the dragons will stop attacking, right?" And they square off. As Homura notes, he was on Foresta. Justice? And oh, shit. Oh, this is gonna be bad. Because she tells Justice, "This is Homura Kogetsu. I will assist you." And Justice notes, "Homura," and flashes back to what Jesse said. It was Homura. She seduced Creed and then killed him. Oh, boy. And Jesse's dead now. You can't get Jesse to recant because he's currently a corpse in a warehouse. But we see Justice break into a sweat. Homura, we must stop the dragons. And Acnoella just stares placidly as Elsie steadies herself after her self-hatred. And then Rebecca's just shaking in the mother room. I don't know why, but I have a really bad feeling about all this. And then Hermit barges in. Sister. And barges into the medical room. Hey, I'm with a patient. You can't just... and Hermit then says, Elsie's medical records from 18 years ago. I need to see them right now. And that's where we leave off. And with the last time we saw Hermit, I think Mashima is definitely directing us to believe Elsie might be the enemy. It might be a red herring. I posited next time it might be a red herring, and especially after seeing that flashback of just having to sit there and watch while her friends and family died in front of her. I definitely thought she would not end up being the true enemy. And then we get this Hermit bit. And I think it might still be a red herring, a false flag sort of thing. The way Mashima is using this cliffhanger, I think it's meant to be a trick. It's meant to be... The way that the Grand Magic Games constantly tease future Lucy as being behind all of the shit going on there, and it was actually future Rogue. I think it might be a similar thing Mashima's pulling here, really making it seem like Hermit suspects Elsie, and maybe Hermit genuinely does suspect Elsie, but I don't think Elsie is actually, guilty of any of this stuff. I think there's just something that Hermit suspects that will be proven or disproven by seeing the medical records from when Elsie first arrived here 18 years ago. But yeah, I don't know where she's going with that beyond the true enemy stuff. So I'm going to leave that last little scene alone until next week when we get more info. And talk about the tragedy going on in the warehouse. As Elsie just has to sit there and watch all of her friends, her two right-hand men and the traitor she treated so well, die in front of her. Goen decapitated, Hyoga shot in the head, and killing Jesse with his final breath. It's a brutal segment. Especially as Elsie realizes... As Elsie starts to suspect that her very nature is death and destruction. It hurts to read a good bit. But not in a bad way. Not in the oh, here's another bit of BDSM-based sexual assault that is the worst moments of the series. It's the kind of pain that works much better. Eden Zero has definitely been Mashima's attempt to make a much darker series than Rave or Fairy Tail, and he's gotten better at the darkness as it's gone on. There are still moments where it's okay, we don't need this weird fetish shit, but then you get chapters like this that just fucking hit, and it just are painful in a cathartic good way. As Elsie once again is confronted with death after death after death, on top of she still thinks the original Ziggy is dead, and Witch and Valkyrie, and her parents. Regardless if her parents deserve to be stopped, that doesn't mean a little 9-year-old girl wants to be responsible for killing her parents, even if it was the right thing to do. And it's just the sort of thing that has been weighing on her entire life. And it finally, as she stares at her crewmates' corpses, breaks her down. And it would be a damn good chapter if that were the whole thing. But then we get Homura and Justice, because Justice still believes all of Jesse's bullshit. And while I believe the other Interstellar could put if this was Holy or Eraser or Feather who had this grudge against Homura, I believe they could put their issues aside and deal with the bigger threat. I'm not sure Justice can. Justice is so single-minded on his grudges. You know, we see that all the time with Elsie, but, like, I don't think this grudge is going to be any different, given what we saw at the end of the Aoi War. So, maybe Justice will be able to put that aside with Acnoella right there. Or it might turn into Justice trying to fight both Homura and Acnoella, and Acnoella fighting both of them, and Homura trying to defend against Justice and attack Acnoella without hurting Justice. I don't know, but I think that fight is going to be a messy web of conflicting emotions from especially Justice and Homura. Acnoella, I don't think really gives a shit. But with Jessie dead, if Justice finds that out mid-fight, that could go very poorly. And then there's that, you know, Mashima teasing Elsie as being a bit more mysterious than we've seen from her, that maybe she has a bigger play in this whole true enemy thing. Though, given how young Elsie would have been when everything happened, when like during that initial trip to find Mother, I don't think she's responsible. But there's something going on with her that Hermit suspects, and we'll just have to wait to find out what that might be. So with that said, I'm going to leave this video off here. Hope you enjoyed the chapter and the video itself. If you did, feel free to drop me a like or subscribe, or, you know, do whatever makes you happy, you know? And as always, your life is your own, okay? Bye!